organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Tonight on Daily Iowan TV, from a vice presidential nominee to best-selling author, find out what politician is stepping on Iowa soil once more next.
And find out how the food you waste is being put to good use here in Iowa City.
And in sports, Iowa football is going bowling. We hear from head coach Kurt Ferentz and squad later.
Daily Iowan TV starts now.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Tanner Sigworth.
And I'm Michelle Nago.
An Iowa City man was arrested over the weekend for breaking into a College Street apartment and threatening a woman with a knife. Saturday morning, 30-year-old Bernard Archer approached the woman as she was asleep on a couch. She screamed and then called police. Archer fled and police found him on the 600 block of Dubuque Street. After being taken in, the victim positively identified Archer as a suspect. Archer faces multiple felony charges and could spend up to 35 years in prison.
Today, the University of Iowa released a report of a sexual assault that happened last Friday. A female student reported that an unknown perpetrator assaulted her in a residence hall. The UI reminds everyone that the only person responsible for this assault is the perpetrator, and that if anyone experiences a sexual assault, they should call the university police hotline at 319-335-5022.
The artist and UI fellow Sarat Tanulashar, who placed his art display of a KKK outfit on the Pentacrest last Friday, is responding to criticism from the UI community. Tanulashar took to Twitter to apologize in a statement, quote, "My intention with the sculpture was to promote widespread awareness on racism and prejudice issues which were embodied in this symbol." Several separate meetings were held tonight regarding Tanulashar's apology, solutions for race-embodied artwork, and how the UI's response embodied the First Amendment. Watch Daily Iowan TV this week as we follow new developments in the story.
Iowa Governor Terry Branstad will be sworn in for his historic sixth term of the morning of January 16th. The inauguration ceremony will take place at the Community Choice Credit Union Convention Center in downtown Des Moines. Following the ceremony later that evening, there will be an inaugural ball. Governor Branstad holds the title as the longest-serving governor in the U.S.
Former Alaskan governor and 2008 vice presidential nominee Sarah Palin will be soon visiting Iowa. Her visit comes as Iowa U.S. Representative Steve King and the conservative group Citizens United host the Iowa Freedom Summit in Des Moines on January 24th. Palin will be a speaker alongside other national conservative leaders such as Dr. Ben Carson, Governor Mike Huckabee, and Senators Rick Santorum and Ted Cruz. The forum is supposed to be a launch point for conservative ideas heading into the 2016 Iowa caucuses.
Still to come on Daily Iowan TV, how food waste from your kitchen table is making a difference in sustainability.
And in sports, we have a look at women's basketball's victory this weekend. Michelle, I've been hearing that it's going to warm up later this week, but today was cold and a little wet.
Yeah, and a lot of wind today,
right?
Yeah,
yeah, let's not forget the wind. But let's toss it over to Cole Johnson, who's standing by in the weather studio. Cole, what's the weather looking like from here on out?
It is going to get warmer, guys. Starting off your Tuesday, it'll be about 26 degrees with partly cloudy skies. As we continue on through the morning into the afternoon, the temperatures will jump to 34 degrees while the sky begins to clear. Moving into the evening, we'll drop back down to 29 degrees. Thankfully, you won't have to dig your way through the snow to study for your finals. As we look into the rest of the week, temperatures will begin to rise. On Wednesday, we will have a high of about 36 degrees with partly cloudy skies, with a low in the mid-20s. On Thursday, the skies will be clear with a high of 39 degrees and a low of 29. And on Friday, we will have a high in the upper 40s with a small chance of rain. Looking into the weekend, there will be a high in the low 50s on Saturday and Sunday with cloudy skies. There will also be a 50% chance of rain on Sunday. Perfect weather to stay in and get a last-minute cram session for all of your tests next week. That's all I have for you in the weather studio. Back to you guys at the desk.
The Iowa City Council will meet early Tuesday morning to decide whether 3 130-year-old cottages on South Dubuque Street will be demolished. The council faces 2 conflicting structural engineering reports. One side states the buildings are unsafe, while a second opinion argues the buildings only suffer from normal wear and tear.
The city of Iowa City participated in a food waste reduction pilot program called Food to Good Waste. Daily Iowan TV reporter Sue-Wen Wang has the story.
The city of Iowa City participated in a pilot program this past summer in 2014 for reducing food waste in homes of Iowa City. The strategy is through Environmental Protection Agency called Food Too Good to Waste. They have programs for many years and they are looking for next step for reducing food waste in people's home. The pilot project is 6 weeks and it goes to 300 households in 5 neighborhoods in Iowa City. About 50 people participated in this program. Here is the Iowa City Landfill and Recycling Center. The landfill is about 400 acres in size and it takes about 125 tons of trash each year. At the end of 6 weeks, each household diverted 5 pounds of food waste in average instead of going to the trash. The program gives individuals tips on how to reduce the waste and pick up waste on the curbs so that it could be composed in the Iowa City landfill. They also gave them containers to collect the food waste in the kitchen. And for the next extension of food waste program,
we also have food waste now coming from Burge, coming from the Hy-Vee grocery stores in town, from New Pioneer Co-op. That's not going into the landfill. It's actually getting composted and being made into a soil amendment to sell to the community. So it's a great program, and it diverts about 400 to 500 tons of food waste per year from the landfill. So the residential program is kind of the next logical extension of that we're working with businesses to do this, and now we're getting to the household level.
the main purpose of the program is to get people familiar with the dangers of wasting food and to reduce food waste in Iowa City households.
It's about 12% of what goes into the landfill is food. So there's a big push to encourage people to reduce how much food they waste. This is a good part of it.
斯文王 Daily Iowan TV.
Iowa City expects to have similar sustainability programs within the near future.
The Big Ten Council presidents and chancellors held their annual December meeting in Indianapolis on Sunday. They decided to move forward in improving their concussion protocols. New regulations include having athletic trainers in replay booths, schools abiding by conference standards, and higher accountability for institutions. The Big Ten was the first conference to enforce a concussion management plan.
Tanner, there's a lot of controversy over concussions, so I'm glad the Big Ten's doing something about it.
Yeah, especially with the recent incidents that have been happening. The Big Ten's going to do anything they can do to prevent them.
I hope so.
Stay with us with more on Big Ten sports. We'll toss it over to Zach Mackey, who's standing by in the Daily Iowan TV sports studio, right after this.
Can't pick up a copy of the Daily Iowan? Are you worried about how you're going to find out about the latest news in Iowa City and the University of Iowa? Well, look no further. You can download the Daily Iowan mobile app on your iPhone for the area's best news coverage. And you can also read and watch us on your iPad. You can always find current and past Daily Iowan stories at dailyiowan.com. The Daily Iowan is now on TV, online, and in your pocket. If it happens, it's news to us.
Thanks, guys. A lot on tap for tonight's program with women's basketball, track and field, swimming, and gymnastics in action over the weekend. But first, the Iowa football team learned their postseason fate yesterday with a bid to the Tax Slayer Bowl in Jacksonville, Florida. While the loss to Nebraska to wrap up the regular season left a bad taste in the mouth of the Iowa football team, they have one last chance to end on a good note against the Tennessee Volunteers. Here's what senior linebacker Quentin Alston had to say.
I feel like we're just anxious to get back to work. Obviously the last two losses that has a bad taste in our mouths, but we're anxious to get back on the field and go to the bowl game, prepare as hard as we can, and continue to grow as a team. So when we get to the bowl game, we can go out there and give them our best shots.
It will be back to the basics for the Hawks before they go up against the Wolves, a team that head coach Kurt Ferentz said they know next to nothing about.
I really don't know what they're doing at Tennessee. I've not seen them on tape. We haven't overlapped at all, and really don't know much. So that's something we'll learn a lot more of here in the days ahead, and then certainly in the weeks ahead. The one thing I do know is he's had great success everywhere he's been. He's got good coaches.
Kickoff for the game is set for 2:20 p.m. Central Time. Last week, the Iowa women's basketball team suffered a devastating 86-52 loss to Louisville, but came ready to rebound against Colorado. Daily Iowan TV sports reporter Laura Belanda was at the game and has the highlights.
After a devastating loss to Louisville last week, the Iowa women's basketball team bounced back in their defeat over the University of Colorado with a score of 78-63. In the first half, the team seemed pretty even, but in the second half, Coach Lisa Bluter said the team got their swagger back and came out to win.
The Buffaloes took the lead early in the first half after the two teams struggled to score in the first 2 minutes. Senior Bethany Doolittle scored the first 4 points for the Hawkeyes and ended the first half with a total of 6 rebounds. Senior Melissa Dixon scored 13 points in the half, with 9 of those being three-point shots. Dixon came out in the second half with 10 points, a total of 23 on the game. Number 15 and freshman Whitney Jennings was one of the starting 5 and ended up recording the highest amount of playing time at 35 minutes. Jennings also had 4 assists to end the game, the same amount as senior Sam Logic. Logic sprained her MCL in the game prior to the matchup against Colorado, but said she won't let it slow her down.
You know, it's a work in progress. It's, just taking a couple days off, practice. Training staff did a really good job, I think, bringing me back, and just want to be out there with my teams.
The Hawkeyes will play interstate rivals Iowa State on Thursday at Carver, and Coach Lisa Bluter said the team is going to need to be prepared for the matchup.
Obviously, they're a good team. They've lost 1 game on the year. They'll come in with a lot of confidence, and they'll have them ready to go. There's no doubt. And we don't expect to win just because it's on our home court. We know we're going to have to come out and earn it.
This has been Laura Belanda with Daily Iowan TV Sports.
Logic said she'll be resting her knee extensively heading into Thursday night's game against Iowa State. And to round out tonight's coverage on Hawkeye Sports, we'll toss it out to our Monday evening whip-around crew for more on some teams just getting their season started. Take it away, ladies.
I'm Courtney Bauman reporting at the UI Recreation Building on the track and field team. The Hawkeyes had an exciting weekend as they opened up their season at the Black and Gold Inter-Squad meet on Saturday. The gold team was able to capture the victory over the black team, winning 80-73. Multiple personal bests were set this weekend, coming from Alexa Hunt in the shot put, James Harrington in the 60-meter dash, Kevin Lewis, Michael Hart, Matt Butler, and Brooke Price in the mile, and Keith Brown in the 60-meter hurdles. Director of Track and Field Joey Woody said that this weekend was a great benchmark for the season, and he's excited to see what is to come from the Hawkeyes. Now I'm going to throw it over to Erin, who's reporting on men's and women's swimming.
Thanks, Courtney. I'm here at the Campus Rec and Wellness Center, where the swimming and diving teams were able to come out of their opening weekend with 2 first-place finishes and several broken records. The men's team were able to beat Notre Dame by just half a point to claim the title at the Hawkeye Invitational, and the women beat second-place Denver by 222 points. In the men's division, records were set in the 200-meter butterfly as well as in the diving well. For the women, records were set in the 100-meter freestyle, 100-meter breaststroke, and the 200-meter freestyle. After such a strong showing in their first weekend out, the coaches believe that the best races are yet to come. Now I'll hand it off to Nicole with info on the gymnastics team.
Thanks, Erin. The men's gymnastics team had their annual preseason Black and Gold Inter-Squad meet this Saturday here at the Iowa Fieldhouse. Sophomore Corey Patterson is expected to have an increased role this year after winning the high bars and placing 5th in the all-around at the Canadian National Championship this summer. The team returns with 5 new freshmen and kicks off their season at the Windy City Invitational January 17th. That's all for this week's Whip Around. Back to you guys at the studio.
Thanks for that, ladies, and be sure to check out tomorrow's program as men's hoops take on Alcorn State, and we'll be bringing back our courtside show that gives you an inside look on how the Iowa basketball team did on Tuesday. We'll take a look at one freshman hoopster making an impact in the preseason, as well as look at what the Hawks need to improve on before Big Ten. Tanner and Michelle, back to you at the desk.
Make sure to pick up a copy of the Daily Iowan tomorrow. In headlines, read more in depth on the factors that will decide the fate of the historical South Dubuque cottages.
And find out more on why the UI community is raising First Amendment concerns after removing the controversial art display from the Pentacrest.
Before we go, we have some exciting news for cereal lovers. After 9 long years, General Mills announced they're bringing back French Toast Crunch.
General Mills decided to bring the brand back after many fans and consumers requested the cereal be put back on shelves. The last time you saw the syrup and cinnamon flavored cereal in U.S. grocery stores was in 2006.
Tanner, what's your favorite cereal?
Well, I've never tried this French Toast Crunch. It sounds pretty good, but gotta go with Fruity Pebbles, hands down.
I like Lucky Charms.
Oh, okay.
But that's all we have tonight on Daily Iowan TV. Make sure to tune in tomorrow at 9 for your latest news.
And always stay updated online at dailyiowan.com. Thanks for joining us, and have a great night.